Joe Biden spoke yesterday, and it's important for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's the first primetime national address that he's given to the nation since he became president 50 days ago. 50 days, he hasn't come out and said anything like this at all. Still hasn't done a press conference, hasn't done a State of the Union address. I guess this is the closest we're going to get. So that's number one, the reason why we need to pay a little bit of attention to it. Also, we don't know when and or if this guy is ever going to give another speech. It happens so rarely. We don't know if he's going to talk to the press ever. We don't know if he's going to give a State of the Union. It could be another 50 days till we hear from the president again. It could be another 150 days. Nobody knows when they're going to let Joe Biden out. He started the speech by saying,
"Good evening, my fellow Americans."
Okay, good start. Then it was all downhill. He followed it up with this.
A year ago, we were hit with a virus that was met with silence and spread unchecked.
That was the first of many lies. It really set the tone. I was about to take a shower, turned on the water so it could get hot, remembered it was 8 o'clock, turned on the TV, watched that part of it. And from that moment on, I was like, oh, turn off the water. I got to watch this thing. And it was baffling to me how this guy created an alternate pseudo reality where only he and I guess a handful of other Americans lives. The virus was ignored and unchecked. I don't have the best memory, true, but I remember a year ago, and yesterday was exactly 1 year from when they had declared this thing a pandemic and everything else. I remember what happened. I remember immediately schools getting canceled. I remember immediately the Players' Championship where we were broadcasting live getting canceled. I remember the radio being inundated with messages of go home, stay inside, you make sure that you have all the supplies that you need. Don't talk to anybody. Don't visit anyone. If you don't need to go, essential personnel. We had meetings here at work. How are we going to do this job remotely? Do you have access at home? Is your microphone working? We started printing up essential personnel shirts. They sent us little emails from the sheriff's office saying, you are media. Carry this in your car with you at all times in case you get stopped. That, to me, does not sound like it was unchecked, like it was allowed to just spread willy-nilly, like people at the upper echelon were ignoring it. I remember a press conference from Donald Trump that very day with the flattening of the curve. Dr. Fauci saying, we need to, shelter in place. Do you remember that? That was 1 year ago. Shelter in place. So I don't know what reality Joe Biden's living in, but I'm pretty sure the rest of us remember getting strict orders from the top levels of government that this was serious and we needed to take it seriously. Joe Biden continued.
Denials for days, weeks, then months. That led to more deaths, more infections, more stress, and more loneliness.
And again, I feel like this is what's the opposite of truth? Oh, yeah. BS, because what happened was, and if you remember the graph, the high point, if we didn't do what we were supposed to do, if we didn't flatten the curve, 2.5 million American deaths from the pandemic, 2.5 million American deaths. And what happened in the next weeks was, it was amazing how this country came together, canceling sporting events. There was no March Madness last year at this time. There were no 64 teams playing 32 games trying to get that trophy. That was all canceled. There was no school. People were setting up shop in their living rooms, in their kitchens, in their garages, working from home, telecommuting. Everybody was Zooming, Zoom. It was like we were a Mazda commercial. And all of a sudden, we started to see a brand new world that we could still work and function in. But for whatever reason, Joe Biden felt like the deaths were just piling up one on top of another, when in reality, we had fewer deaths than anyone dreamed possible. 2.5 million. It was the projection if we didn't get to work. Well, we got to work. And then he reached into his pocket to pull out his card that he carries everywhere with him. What's on the card?
As I've told you before, I carry a card in my pocket with the number of Americans who have died from COVID to date. It's on the back of my schedule.
And he pulls out this little card. By the way, I'm not at all shocked that Joe Biden's entire schedule can fit on a business card. Anyone else?
As of now, total deaths in America, 527,726. That's more deaths than in World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, and 9/11 combined.
That is incorrect. That is not just incorrect. That's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. There were 405,000 American deaths in World War II alone. There were 116,000 deaths in World War I. Put them together, we've already surpassed COVID. 58,000 more in Vietnam, 2,977 on 9/11. The guy is trying to scare you. He's trying to make it look like this enemy is the deadliest thing we've ever faced. And let's not forget that 1 year ago today, on the anniversary of this pandemic, everybody passed around that graphic. And at the top of the curve, 2.5 million Americans dead from COVID-19. And on the back of Joe Biden's card yesterday, 500,000. That is 1/5 of the projected 2.5 million. 1/5. What we did as Americans, what we did as citizens of this country, what we did as competent adults and people who can think for ourselves under the leadership of Donald Trump was save 2 million American lives, according to the experts. Joe Biden doesn't want you to think that. He wants you to think that this has been deadlier than every single battle, Civil War, Revolutionary War. If a comet meteor came and crashed in that COVID-19 has killed more dinosaurs than the comet did a bajillion years ago. Fact. Believe the science.